started. So just to get the things underway. This, of course, is the 33rd IWAR Gold Strategy Workshop. So I'm Matt Riley. I'm the host of this attempt to figure out how to get 501 points in the IWA. Now, if you don't know what the IWA is, you're probably got a really weird recommendation by YouTube. So sorry in advance. First thing you should do is go watch the How to Win in the IWA Workshop video. It's a 20-minute video. It goes over the basics. If you watch that first, this is going to make a lot more sense. So if you don't watch it, then you're going to be really up the creek. So I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and get right into it. Because that's what we'll do. And as people pop in, we'll go. So, all right, Larry should be in here any minute now. So what I've done is I've broken this down into 3 areas to look at. First is the big screen behind everything, which is like the drops, how they break out. Over here, the first chart I use is kind of tracking what the drops are. Remember, the important part is to track the value, not just the hold. The big breaking news, a couple of things going on. One, the Tubecast will be back. It was on hiatus for a month because of computer issues. Alex actually talks about that on the show. We recorded it on Tuesday and Wednesday night. So it's done. He's just editing it and he'll get it posted. Should probably be easy to post because there's only 2 leagues or whatever, 3 leagues we're covering. So we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Also, in Jade, the hold number 25, which is sort of the IWA-wide like go-to hold, went down to 27 points. And some people were really shook by that. I think it's a good thing because it makes it even harder to get perfect point flows. I'm sorry, but if you get like 30 guys winning the IWA 6-man championship every cycle, and some dudes are winning it like 20 cycles in a row, a little too easy to win. Just is. So anything you can do is fine in my book. So welcome, Larry. I think
hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. And I can hear you.
Better than last time.
We're making progress.
Yeah, and I'm taking a big swig of 5-hour energy, so I have like a half hour of energy out of this.
Not Fanta Pina Colada?
No, that Mountain Dew Zero I tried the other night. So I tried to do the show the other night, and it did not work. And I took a swig of Mountain Dew Zero, and I immediately felt ill. Oh, I feel terrible. And I tried to do the show, and the show, audio issues. It didn't work out. And then I tried to do the show. I was like, I'll do it at midnight. And I tried to do it again, and I just felt like nauseous. And I was like, I don't think I should do the show. And then I was just like, I'm not doing the show. So that's why we're here. So hopefully we'll bang this out. It's being recorded, so we'll get it all done. But I was talking about Jade with the 25 going to 27 and causing riots in the streets of Ulwick. Over here, this chart right here, I'm moving around, is the pairings combo. So you can see the value that dropped and then the hold associated. If you look here, you kind of notice 12, 12, 12, 12, 12. Holy crap, 12. So this past cycle was the first cycle in a long time where 12 did not drop. So we're going to talk about that and why I think 12 is going to go to 30. I have no idea. But we'll talk about that. And what I did is I did some of the if you watch the last couple of shows, I've been breaking down like the different values and kind of where things came from. And I thought, okay, I'm doing that, but I'm not really showing my mind, my mindset, my approach. So I'm going to show you that. So I'm going to move this out of the way. And as you see here, this is the, I'm shaking it. This is the 2021 hold values. So what I've done is on the right side, where you see like September, October, fall, those numbers are just there for like reference. They're not actually part of the formula on the right, which is 26.7 and so forth. I do that to show kind of what hold has been better lately versus not. It's just a simple thing I do, and there's not really mathematics to it, just simple formula. But I want to talk about what our options in gold are. So let's scroll down here and look at our chart, and we see that iron 29.28 went down. In steel, 29.26, and then 2 cycles ago we had 29.27 in gold, and last cycle we had 27. So I've deemed those 4 combinations out. So I'm going to move this over a little bit to give you guys a little better view of what we're talking about here. So over here I've put actually the pairings. You can kind of see the 2 different views: the vertical view Yes, always blame Mountain Dew. God damn. Every time everyone's been like, oh, drink like a Red Zero or Red Zone or some shit like that. Drink Game Fuel. Man, they make like just I can't do it. So I think my body's like, you've done enough damage. Stop it. I do want to pour one out for New Jack. Earlier this evening, the New Jack passed away. Drink moonshine. I don't drink at all. If I ever drank and did the workshop, it would probably be, I'd be terrible. I've always been afraid that if I drank, I'd be very violent. I used to have a very, very bad temper when I was younger.
It could also end up being 501s all around.
If that happened, that would be very scary. If I cranked out, like this show was like, everyone took this 501s. Now we're all wonderful and we're all doing great. I'll also talk about how the last show, Mike had emailed and he asked about when you're doing multiple strategies for your wrestlers, is it better to focus on one particular drop or to spread out and cover a few? And for the sake of us right here, I'm just going to highlight this. These are our drops we're dealing with right here. 28s, 28, 27, 28, 26, 27, 26, and 26s. And it's kind of funny because 26s went from it never ever drops to, I think it was 4 times in the last year or so. So, excuse me. We got to keep those in mind. Now, 12 is sitting at 28. So if the 28s drop, would 12 go down? Like, be like, haha, you thought you could trust me. Haha, sucker. I would not be surprised. Before the show, I think Darren mentioned about taking 28s. I'm definitely taking 28s in one of my tag teams, for sure. I will say this, though. In the CWL, the Von Schnapps, I am absolutely swinging for fences because as soon as they lose their belts, they're moving to the IWL. And that is hard to do because what happens is as league activity drops and like what we see right now is kind of the fluctuation period where we have people leaving the league. So, like Mechanico, who's one of my wrestlers, he is ranked, I think, 3rd, and his record's he's at 40 wins over. So it's a good time if you're going to go into the CWL to get in there because you're going to help get some title shots. But the point I'm making is that, when there's fewer people competing, it's easier to win titles. Like the LWL, the secret of the LWL is that, yeah, it's a one wrestler, one manager approach, but it's easier to win a regional belt if you just have a strategy of 494 or better as a general rule. Anyways, that's not really important right now. A big hospital, what is it? It's a building with patients. That's not important right now. Larry, do you want to shed any light on the combos that are available to us?
No. I think the thing that's throwing me a little bit, and this is, I think, a good thing for us to take a look at is, for the last, I don't even know how many cycles we've had this pattern. It was with 12, and then it started with 45 and 46 of these holds every 2 cycles dropping to 25. And with the IWA eliminating 46, thanks to the drops in iron and steel, right. I'm wondering, is 45 guaranteed to continue the trend, or is it a trap?
You heard it here first, folks.
And I have no answer. I literally don't know, but it's the thing I can't stop thinking about. It's like 45 right now seems so easy. It seems too easy. So I don't know.
That's like with me the last few cycles with 12 was that you can't drop it again. They're not going to drop it again. Dropped it again. And I think actually that, it's not bad to say at least one of your guys, if you have one of your wrestlers, you give that easy strat to, because actually what I do is kind of back up. I talked about this in the last show when I tried to record it, but I want to talk about Fatty won the elite belt. I gave Fatty both 27s. I gave Alex and Axel in the CWL both 27s. The difference being Fatty had a singles back 5 and the Von Schnapps had a tag team back 5. And what I mean by that, if you're not familiar, when it comes to tag team wrestling, if you give both guys, let's say the 44s, right, at number 11, and you have 44A and 44B. So in this case, you would have 63 and 90. Well, 90 might hit 45, but 63 might go to 41. So your singles aspirations are going to take a hit. That's a 3-point difference. And Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. I was not expecting Fatty to win anything like that, so it was kind of a surprise. It wasn't kind of, it was a surprise. I was like, holy shit. Took the matches. I've already got belts, so in case you're wondering, I took the matches. So what I want to think about here is how many wrestlers do I have title shots with, like league title shots? How many do I have a regional title shot with, and how many do I have a TV title shot with? Now, if I sit there and say, okay, on my roster, I have let's say 6 wrestlers, you know, your max, and you have a tag team. So those tag team guys are going to have a flow heavy strat, so they're not going to be really viable as a singles wrestler. But you can still do a double drop. Like I gave double 26s to Senya Lucha, he retained the TV belt. I gave double 27s to Fatty, he won the league. It's not a bad idea to take a big swing with someone. And like you were talking about, it looks really easy. Well, giving at least one of the guys you have in the crew the most obvious, easy drops can either be a quick recipe for a 488, or you can be the only guy hitting 500. Because everyone else convinced themselves there's no way it was going to happen, and it did. So I think, 45 on the table, absolutely. I think it is. I'm going to break this down here and move this chart down. And I'm going to get back to it in a second. I want to talk about what I talked about earlier, which was this chart right here, where I put down all the various holds. And you see, like, obviously a 25 won't go to 25 and it won't go to 30. It hasn't, in my experience. But it can go to 26, 27, 28, 29. So what I did is I've started going back and looking at what they did the previous cycle and I eliminate that. So this one came back from 27. I drop it out. Now, could it go back to 27? Sure, we see it all the time. Like if you look over here at number 1, you see it went 26, 28, 26. Now, if I was doing this approach, I would have immediately, ignored 26s. So this isn't perfect. This is just my approach. So what I've done here is this little red box down here. You guys all see that? That makes sense, Larry, so far?
Yep.
Okay. This right here is something I've done for about a year and a half now, and it works kind of well to kind of figure out what might happen next. A lot of this, actually not a lot of this, all of this is guessing. I don't care. Some people make way better educated guesses than we do. It's about the confidence in your pick. And again, I always say with the storyline and style of play, you have a backup. So if you don't do well strategy wise, well, you might do well in a tournament. Like the All Rookie Cup is coming up. We have 4 guys vying for it. We have the Murano going on. We have the Johnny B Cup going on. We have all the Summer Series is coming up. So there's all these events going on. So if you don't have a great strategy, you might lose and might not make the title page. You still have a shot at something. And with all the prizes we're throwing around, we're talking free matches, we're talking trophies, we're talking rings, we're talking credit, all kinds of fun stuff. So you want to use your best educated guess. So what I've done here is I break down all the hold values, so 25 to 30. And then this is what they went to. So the hold value 25 went to 28, 29 from last cycle to this cycle. 2 cycles ago, it went to 27, 29. So what I do is my easier, fast approach on this is I eliminate what it went to previous to kind of think, okay, let's say it's going to go. And the only one that really I kind of ignore with that is 30, because it almost always goes to 29. It's very, very common. So if you look at this, you see like 27s went down, 28s went down. All right. And then before that, you see, let's look at 27. So 27 just went to 25. So that's obviously the drop you want to avoid. So we know 25, the hold value 25 isn't going to go to 27. I don't think it'll go to 27. It'll be the jumping up to. So you're kind of doing it in reverse, if it makes sense. Does that make sense? Like you're doing it like, instead of picking where you think it might go next, you want to see where it went to. So you can kind of use that as a steering guide. Yes, no, maybe.
Yeah, that works. And I would also look over the course of the last, at least in this year, in 2021, it was a lot last year, but 27, every now and then it takes a few cycles off, but 27 has been going to 30 a lot.
Yes, that happened. That was a big thing last year. And I remember, it was like in the spring when I first started like really jumping on that. And that's the thing I noticed, the IWA does kind of go into spurts where it's like a streak of this and they go really, really hard on it. And then all of a sudden the well, it dries up. The well runs dry. Let's see here. Yeah, 27s like to go to 30. Yeah, and another thing I noticed too sometimes is they will double, meaning if one of the holds goes to 30, the other one goes 25, just like that. Yeah, so it's very common. So in this case, I've just kind of broken out my guesses. So this is, you'll notice I have like 25 and 25, and then I have a 25 with a question mark. So what I'm doing here is I'm kind of finding 3 each value, and then I kind of have the 2 I feel strong about, and then 1 like, okay, is this one to think about? So for instance, hold number 53, 29, 30, 26, 30, 26. Okay, so this could go as high as 30, or it could go to 25 and shock us. And it's just one of those things that, I think when it comes to the game, I always talk about convincing yourself of, whatever your choice is, like convince yourself completely and then go exactly against it. Why I couldn't, or convince yourself, okay, if it's gonna be 26s, why are 26s going to drop? All right, well, if it's 28s, why are 28s going to drop? Well, 128, 45 will be going down to 25 points, so that up, down, right? 12 will be going down to 25 because it's a bastard. So, we we find ways to, whittle it down. And I just use this little area here where I kind of see what happens. So for example, 27s. So they went to 25 last time. Before that, they went to 25, 28. So here, I don't think they're going to go to 25s. I don't think, I could see one going to 30. I mean, 59 going to 30. It's the stronger. One's been kind of, Jesus, this computer sucks. Could number one, hold number 1, could that go down? It could, but I just don't think it'll be 27, not this cycle. So I'm going to say that 1 will go to 29. I'm going to say it jumps up a little bit just because it wants to mess with us. I think 25 goes down to 28. That's my surprise. I think everyone's saying, oh, it's going to go 30 again. I think they go back down. I think that everybody wants to make the whole number 25, the elusive, like you want to bet on it, bank on it going to 30, but it's going to stay in the 28, 29 range, and then every so often pop up. Because it still makes it valuable, but it makes it tougher to work to hit that flow. And I think that's really the part of the game that can be the most tweakable, is like giving a little more dimension, width to 25. I think 25 will go 27 in all the feds eventually. I do. I just think it's a way to really add a wrinkle to the game that puts extra work on the big roster folks. Like, like I said, if you're hitting the 6-man championship for 10 cycles in a row, is it really hard? I mean, if you have enough crew members, you can work your strats out to cover all the bases. That how much harder does that make it? It would be like saying if we had, okay, we're going to add 24 into the mix as a regular thing. How much harder would that make the thing versus a 27? So it's a debate we could have someplace else. But I think for this, I've got 2 30s picked here. I got 59. So I'm going to say 59 goes to 30. Let's do that. We've got 29 from 31. So it's dropping from 30 to 29. So we got to pick a 29-point value from 53, 5, or 1. We're going to say 1, so these 2 value goes out. So you see how we do this? I kind of like whittle my way down. And I do that throughout this, and then I'll start, populating. It really comes down to, when you start picking which drops you think are going to go together. So over here, where I have the drops paired off, like if I feel like 12 and 1, that's the one I'm feeling in my head, like, okay, 12 and 1's a 1. I'll give that to someone who has a title shot. And, what we do is, let's say this is title shot. And title shot and title shot, so I'm covering my bases. And then if I have 4 title shots and I give this title shot kind of spread it out, that gives me, 5 different combos to look at. Is an inherent danger if you fully go all in. I was explaining, I had to redo it. So the way I explained it was like roulette. If you've ever been to a casino and you go to a roulette table, they spin the wheel, they put the ball in there, it lands on a number, and it's either red or it's black. And of course, you have to say, always bet on black because that's what Wesley Snipes does. But if you if you cover obscure movie quotes that no one remembers anymore. Oh, you think that's bad? A guy at work today quoted Ben-Hur, and I got the reference. That's how old I am. If you go all in on a particular combo, yeah, you're going to have, great success if that combo hits. But if it doesn't, you're going to have a piss poor cycle. A few cycles ago, I went all in on 27-26. And I was like, it's going to happen. And it didn't. And my cycle sucked. I had the worst cycle I've ever had, I think. I didn't win not a damn thing. And that's frustrating, especially when you have less.
I was right there with you.
Yeah, and a lot of us, I think, miss ourselves. So I always feel that, no matter how sure we are, you got to diversify a little bit. Because even if there's a remote chance that easy 45 is going to drop, like if I look here, I've got the 45s, 45-53, 45-59, 45-5, and 45-12. Which of those 5 options seems the most likely to you? That's what you can do. And you can say, okay, well, I think 45 is going to go. But then you want to make sure you use a drop combo that doesn't involve 45. Because let's say 45 ends up being 30 points. That's a huge swing to a miss. You're getting 25 points and you're missing 30. And that's when you get those 487, 488 scores, which suck. I hate when that happens. Larry, you want to offer any words of wisdom when it comes to your diversification?
I will say this, actually, I think this could be, this thing I'm about to mention could be an entire workshop at one point, but I think there's a lot to be talked about when it comes to hold number 13 and the 41 versus the 42. And is there anything that people see in iron and steel that helps them determine whether, when it comes to gold, they're going to go with one or the other? Okay. I have absolutely shit the bed on strategies because I did really well with my front 10 holds, and then that 13th hold, I'm guaranteed it's going to a 44 and it goes to a 41 or it goes to a 42, and then I have 2 other small mistakes, and suddenly what I thought was going to be like a 498 or a 500 ends up being a 491, and I'm off the title page. Yeah. But I feel like that's worth, if people have ideas about how they go about deciding what to do. I know if you take a 41, you're guaranteed, obviously you're always going to go up. Right. But if there's any other magic recipes to picking your 13th hold, I'd love to hear them from people, because it kills me almost every cycle. Yeah, I would say when it comes to 41 versus 42, it was funny. I was talking to Randall Angel about this like a year ago, and how for a while 42 was the one that was like hot, and then it went cold, and I just started using 41 all the time. 41s at 13, that is. The hold value 41, not hold 41, at 13, because there was a guarantee of 42 or 43 points at the minimum, and what I often did, like with Alec von Schnapp and the von Schnapp's trio strategy, I always gave him a back end 5 of like 44, 45, 43A, 45B, and then 44B. So I put what I thought would be the strongest of all the holds, so he didn't get any 41s, but that strategy always did pretty well. He was getting like 497s and 496s and 498s, because the 44s were, for a while, were going down to 42. So I was catching the right break, even though I was using both of them. And that's the thing. Again, that's when you're doing a 6-man flow or multi-strat, you're sacrificing singles victories for the team win, which is, I think, one of my favorite mechanics of the game. Because it makes it such a thing where, like, you can't have one wrestler come in and just win every single belt. Now, it happens, sure, but like to win the IWAR championships, there's no way you're going to be perfect flow with one wrestler, and then I don't think it'd be possible per se to pull off. But it could be done, maybe, who knows? But I think your question about like that 41 versus 42. If I look down here, let me scroll down a bit and show kind of like the
the bottom half. You go away. So you have the tracker here showing. One of these days I'm going to break down and buy like Zoom, so I can do an hour. So you see here, like 42. Okay, so what did 42 do last cycle? Both 42s went to 41. So to me, that says to me, good shot that the 42s might be safer because they're not going to do that again. If you look at the cycle before, 42 split 41, 44. Before that, they split 41, 44 and 41, 43. So they've been doing pretty well. 41s, let's see, 41 split, 42. So, I mean, 42 is not the end of the world, but it's probably going to cost you a TV or a league,
Right.
How strong the league is. But I would say that at 13th hold, if you're running 44A, 43A, question mark at 13. And what I've done over here, this is actually up here. Let me scoot this over. This is the Willie Pinham basic single strategy I offer up in the NWL. And it's a strategy that will always use your drops are always going to be 27, 20, 28, 27, 28, 26, 27, 26. So in that 3 combo area. So if it's a 29 in the mix. So this is a perfect cycle to use this strategy because you're not going to have a 29 in the mix. I don't believe it. I'd be stunned if like 29, 27 dropped. Not to say it won't happen or couldn't. Unless you're listening to the show right now, Kim. My God, I will say, we have our various smartphones listening to us. One of the guys at work, we were talking about voiceover work, and later on that night, I was checking my Instagram feed and like, sure as shit, voiceover workshops, get them now. Are you kidding me? Yeah. So could 42? Oh, could 42 go to 45? It could. That has happened. It's not uncommon. I almost want to say I'm expecting to see a double 43 jump before I see a 42 to 45. Could happen. Who knows? But this is a good cycle to lose that little example I've used of, you have, again, this is examples, but the values I have in the middle here are good ones to go off of because it keeps it pretty simple and fresh. And you just end up using either a 27, 28, or 26, and whichever one of those you don't use, that's how it goes. All right, so Darren, you have 43, 43, 45, 42, 45, 42. That's a lot of extra 5 spots. That's all right. But I just want to kind of talk about the basic approach, because especially the NWL guys, I see a lot of guys that don't change their strategies, or they don't put a lot of thought into it, and then it's just, like they use, like I've seen a lot of guys do this. This always surprises me. Guys use the exact drop from the cycle before. Like, dude, that's not gonna. You're not using the 5s. Like, come on.
I'd say to the NWL guys, if you're having a little trouble figuring out what to drop, worst case scenario, just pick doubles and drop them. Pick a double 28, pick a double 27, pick a double 26. You're sure. Hopefully you're going to get one, but if it's that much trouble figuring it out, just do that and then start to track the holds and figure stuff out. But that takes a little bit of the guessing out of it. Right. You're not guaranteed to probably win a league title with that, but you never know.
So bringing up double hold drop, we just said 27s drop. Do we think there's going to be a chance for 28 or 26 dropping? Sure, could be, especially with 12 in the 28 slot. I hate 12. I think they hate Tom Brady and Willowick, Ohio.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't at this point?
Listen.
What more does that man need?
Him and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are coming to the Patriots. They're probably going to get more cheers than the Pats will, but that's fine.
I'll say, hey, Matt, I'll say real quick. One thing that I have been doing is I'm not tracking hold by hold, but I track diamond, bronze, and jade just to see what the drops are. And Matt and I have talked about this, that it's actually to the IWA's benefit to have gold, steel, iron, gold, and steel mess with the potential drops for for diamond, bronze, and jade. Totally. So I do track all 6 feds. And what I try to do is with the bottom 3 is take a look at, okay, what's dropped over the last 3 cycles in each? Is there a pattern? What is available to us in gold that could do the most damage to diamond, bronze, and jade when it comes to their drops?
Yeah.
And if you look at this current cycle, you'll see that iron and steel have already eaten into that a pretty decent amount in terms of, you know, what now won't drop in those bottom 3 feds, but there's still a few out there. That's another way. I run a small group. I run 8 wrestlers. So for me, it's like whatever I can find to eliminate
8 wrestlers.
options is helpful. Yeah, exactly. Well, 4 of we're not too sure what they are.
Yeah, I'm running. Let me think. I'm running. I should. I'm running 6, and well, CWL is going to be. So I'll be running eventually 12 wrestlers in IWL and BRL. But you know, again, don't overcommit to any one drop. You know.
Yep.
And I always think too is it's fun. Like I didn't with Fatty. Like he's never won the BRL title, so I wrote a whole promo off of him doing that. You know, and that was great. You know, but for the longest time, I would give Fatty like the junker. Like I'd give him like the swing for the fence strat. And he's a Rob Deer. He just was missing all the time, striking out, and it finally caught up with him. I think this cycle, you know, like if I look down here and I go, okay, well, which of these 4, you know, 61 sucks for so long. Is 83 going to go back up? Is 61 going to go back down or, you know, stay mediocre? I could see it going to 43. Oh, 10 minutes. All right, we're at a 10-minute limit here, folks. So, I'm not going to upgrade. Oh, shit. Got the Zoom Doom message. So I'm going to go through here and just bang this out real quick. So, well, 83. Think it's going to go back up. I say it's going to go higher than. Actually, you know what? I'll say this. It'll go 42, only because it's a mess with us. And also, if 61 goes to 43, and I don't think that we're going to see a 43, 44 from both of them. It's just, you know, kind of rare. You'd see a split. So we'll see that for now. And then I can go down here and say, okay, now using the same approach is a little bit different. Like up top, I was using a thing where like if a hold value, like 42, 73 was 43, I'm sorry, 45, 43, 45, 43, 42. So I could eliminate 43 as an option and think, okay, it's going to go up. Now, I don't think 42s are going to go to 45, so I'm going to bump that out and just call that a day. I do think it's a good way to save time is to go, okay, out of these two holds, 62 or 67, which of these is more likely to go to 43 or 44? For the sake of not repeating numbers, I'm going to say that 62 goes to 44 and 67 goes to 43. Okay. Not set in stone. Who knows? But again, this is just a way to kind of go through and you know, now we know this. Okay, so we got 243. So that means out, 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 out. So see how I get, you know, it makes it a little easier to eliminate things. I got 144 here. So let's see what our other 44 is going to be from. Is it going to be from 42? Well, that tells me it probably will. So which of these two is going to be 44? Is it 73 or 85? I'll say 73. There we have it. There's our 44 from 73, and 85 goes to 41 as the, oh shit, what happened to 85 hold move. The back end is frustrating because you can have a perfect front 10. I know like Scott, who runs Bulk Slogan, was always talking about like, I nailed the front 10, the back 5, shit. You know, it's like, okay. So going through and kind of, you know, whipping this together. So I got 44, 44. So that's out, that's out. So now we're down to 45. So what's going to hit 45? Is it going to be 66? Is it going to be 65? We're going to get that bounce up effect. 90 could go up again. So I don't think it's going to go to 43. So I'm going to say 90 goes up. And that means, yeah, 63 goes down. So I'll say 63 goes down to 42. And there we have 42. You know, does that make sense how I'm doing this as far as just like kind of like the mindset?
Yeah. What about those 43s? What are you feeling for 45? The 65 or the 66?
So 65. I think 65 will go because we'll get that
Because we just got the 45.
right. So I just feel like we're gonna get a bounce up from that, and um, that means 41 for that guy. So there it is. There's our picks. And again, this is just kind of fast. I didn't really put a lot of thought into it, but it gives us a couple of things. It gives us the bounce up 45 with 65 and 90, which happens every so often. So maybe actually now I'm thinking it. I'm thinking it. All right, let's
Here you
do
go
this.
down the rabbit hole.
I'm gonna reverse these. Watch this be like, I just blew a 501. Fuck me. Yeah, don't overthink it. But I actually I think it's a very thing to notice that like, okay, well, how often do we see 45s pair up? Well, look at this, 73-85. I'm gonna go back and reverse it. oh, what was me? I'm gonna go with it originally. I'm just gonna leave it as was. And there we go. All right, so leave it at that, and then I'll get back to that. So we got 5 minutes left, so let's just kind of talk about a couple of things here. One is, you don't overthink it. Yeah, I will tell you the one lucky thing about this. Darren mentioned if you do go back and overthink it, don't go back. I never go back. Like I thought to myself all the time, like, what was my original pick? I will say this: only a few times in my playing that knock on wood, did IWA botch my holds. Once was Senior Lucha with a 500, and that was my most memorable one because it was like I hit 500 with Senior Lucha for a TV title. Come on now. You can't take that from me. But I never usually go back and check my holds, which I probably should do. Especially if you see your holds are like really low. Because sometimes they do screw up. Believe it or not, it happens. But more often than not, it's us. So, all right, that was just a breakdown. So we got 41 from 85, 66. That means 85 kind of goes on the back down again. 42, 73 at 13 would be the move to make. So, it's an option. If I look at this and I say, okay, 73, my back end would be 45, 45, 44, 67, 43, whatever. But you get my idea is you get your maximum points. You might not get a perfect point flow, but at least you're going to have a chance at winning a title. And, I know when the bulletins, I still say the only thing about the game I don't like that's changed is that I loved getting that bulletin, opening the package and seeing the cover. I mean, did I win something? Because that was how we found out. And now it's a matter of me getting an email from IWA about 2:00 on Tuesday with IWAR totals. And usually
you're over Kim's shoulder while she finishes tallying the scores.
Yeah. Oh, I always send her an email and say, hey, just a reminder, because with all that's going on, if they don't send me the strat totals, I'm going to be delayed a day because it just, it'll take me a couple hours to back them out, but I'm off on Tuesdays, so it works out well that way. Up here, kind of quickly go back and pair things around. I put 25 question mark on the 53, only because if they were going to surprises and kind of throw us a curveball, just when you think 30, is going to come back up and go 30, it goes 25. And the reason I put the question mark is because that's a really dastardly move to do to players. Because if you're picking and looking for the 30 and you say, okay, I think 53 is going to go to 30 again, and then they throw you a 25 on it, that's a killer. That's a tough. Other reminders, the Tubecast should be up this weekend. I will post this show tomorrow morning, which is Saturday morning, and have it on YouTube and post it on the page and send it out. We're still looking for people to join the events, so if you want in on the events, let me know. We still the 12 is going to 30. It could go to 30. It could happen. I put it down here as 30 because that would be a pristinely a really just vicious move.
Yeah, 12 to 30 and 45 drops to 25.
Mm-hmm.
That feels very IWA to me. Is that even a possible drop combo? I guess it is, right?
45 and
12. That's double 28s, isn't it? Oh,
yes.
no.
Yeah.
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 And that's why I said, like, it's why it could be.
Bastards.
I often feel, 1 minute left. I do feel that sometimes what they do is they make certain maneuvers, like the 28s. Everyone's looking at the 28 going, okay, 28 for tag, 28 for tag. But then the back end, they go double 43s or double 44s to 45. And that porks you because it throws off your perfect point flow. Or they'll have 25 go to 20, 7 and 26. So if you put 25s in the 9-10 spot, you just blew that move, So it's part of the game. It's part of the fun. Why don't we just wrap this up? Well, we did this 33rd workshop. We'll do 34 in a few weeks. We can talk more about Larry's discussion about 41 versus 46. Iron, steel, and if players use other feds to really help shape their picks, I think they do. I try to. But thank you all for tuning in. Those watching.
Yeah, I have to go and have my kids pick my strategies now before they go to bed.
All else fails out, my cat pick them. Martini. All right. See you later.
Good luck, everybody.
Except you. Oh.